All right. Might be a little bit hard for me to quarterback. I'm loading up the GitHub issues on my iPhone, which is not ideal. But I still cannot load any websites despite this hangout being functional. So the two of you guys have been talking quite a bit in the last few days in terms of trying to get the Explorer stuff up and running. Is that true?
Yeah, so I have a couple questions just for the group. I know you had mentioned, sorry, let me shut the window here. Symphony of the City. You had mentioned wanting to build or sort of begin to build the front end into the work that Matthew was doing, and then, quote, marry up the Angular and the Rails app later on. Is that still something that makes sense?
That was just something that Matthew had said, that if you just wanted to give him the HTML CSS files that you were building, I didn't know where you were at with those because I haven't seen
Yeah, so before I push them up, I just need to know where to push them and then sort of how to handle assets accordingly.
Yeah, so he said, I mean, you can put them in both places, I guess. But he said you could just give them to him, and he would wire them up with the Angular data binding stuff, just so we have something working.
Okay.
Because he hasn't figured out how to put the Angular into the Ruby app yet, the Rails app yet.
Okay.
But he has a separate repo.
Mm-hmm.
Which I would load, but I can't. So, but it's on the Saxifrage org. It's called like CAAC something.
Yeah. I have access to it.
But it's like completely
Okay.
built. It even works. He even built like some really bare bones Explorer functionality with like kind of ugly styling.
Mm-hmm.
But you can already filter by parts and do stuff.
Okay. Justin, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds fine. Does that mean not implementing the design itself in the Rails application, or doing it separately? What does that mean for?
What does that
How
mean?
are we going to marry them up?
Yeah.
I do not know.
I guess what Matthew was saying is he hasn't researched yet exactly how to integrate the Angular data binding stuff into the Rails app. So he already has everything built up in this other repo, the CAAC Explorer repo. So he can actually run the Explorer page as an app through that repo, like by itself, just with Angular and I think Node. So he was just figuring he could get up and running there with the Angular data binding, and then we could figure out how to move it into the Rails app a little bit later on.
Okay. Okay. So I know he works. He has a full-time job that sort of precludes him from being on the ground on a day-to-day basis. Is there a world in which we could sit in the same room like on a Saturday? I know Justin, you're out for this week, but just sort of to like get that on the calendar so we can all kind of sync up.
Yeah, he finishes work pretty early in the day actually, because he starts at like 6 in the morning or something.
Okay.
So yeah, we can check in with him. I
Okay.
bet he'd be up for a hangout sometime in the evening this week.
Sweet.
If you wanted to get together.
Yeah. My only concern there is just I'm cognizant only of the risk of redundant work. If we're sort of building up one and then moving another thing over, at the end of the day, I just don't know. I don't have enough visibility into sort of how Angular and Rails work together. Because for better and worse, this is my first project that's run like that. So that's all. And it may just be more efficient to sort of, sync up face to face and do it via issues.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they work together either. I know I posted up some information on one of the issues that's, documents it a little bit and explains best practices, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I don't actually know
Okay.
what it looks like. But what I told him to do, at least for now, is he'll be pointing at the JSON endpoints that are being served up by the Rails app. So it's kind of a both-and scenario to some degree. It just Rails won't, for now at least, Rails won't be serving up the website. It'll just be serving up the data.
Right. Okay. Sweet.
Which technically we could do forever, right? Like he could serve up the website on that other one, but we'll probably move it all into one.
Okay. Cool. That sounds great. Okay, in which case then I will work exclusively with Matt this week. I know, Justin, you're sort of in and out. I'll work with Matthew to get all that up and running. I think the only things, Justin, we're going to end up using Sass, which I think is how you had the Rails app set up anyway. So that should just be like a simple copy paste. But otherwise, Matthew and I will go, and then we can sort of loop you back in once you're back on solid ground post festival.
Oh, no. I have
Yeah, that sounds good.
What I was talking about?
Yeah.
Sorry, you cut out. Did you?
I was just asking if that makes sense. Any thoughts or concerns?
No, I mean, I think that should be fine.
Everything is done.
As long as we can get the data binding stuff working pretty well. We'll have to look at how Angular and Rails kind of post updates to our models and everything. But yeah, I mean, I think it's fine.
Okay. Sweet. Okay, so I'll sync up with Matthew and we'll get all of that stuff cranked out.
Cool. Do you have that stuff done, Cameron?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on, again, like if we were going to do, so that trick with the columns sort of flowing into one another on variable heights is called, it's called masonry. And there's only, if I were doing it in Rails, there's a gem that we'd want to install to handle that Justin found last week. But since we're not doing that, then I get to undo some things I just did. And otherwise, yeah, I'll be able to post it up as soon as I get in touch with that. Alternately, I could just post it up to us as static pages, if that's useful to you from a sort of PM perspective, if you need to show demonstrable progress to other people in the next day or so.
Yeah, I mean, it'd just be nice to look at, like, whenever we have any type of work product, if you put them up for repo, just
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, if we want, we could. So the seed data issue kind of dovetails off that a little. If we want to make the Rails app look good and functional, so that people can add content with the Rails app, that'll probably be faster than waiting on figuring out how to bind Angular to do updates to the data. If Cameron already has the HTML coded up, I could just throw that right on the existing forms, and it might actually be a lot more usable right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I will lean on your expertise. You just tell me which repo to go to, and we'll get it going.
Yeah, I mean, we can put it in both, even for now. It doesn't matter too much. The thing I was hoping to work on for subsequent weeks is obviously, iterating on the Explorer page a little bit, making it slightly more awesome. Justin, maybe something for you to start working on is how to bring the Angular data binding stuff over into the existing repo and getting it all to work together. And then the next main sort of piece of functionality and design that we want to work on is going to be login accounts and user interface for organizers. So, sort of building on that form that exists right now on the Roku app and actually turning it into a full-fledged, user dashboard where you can click a create opportunity button and it gives you a form that's associated with a particular user account.
Yeah, I really think that it's going to make sense for me to implement Cameron's design in the Rails app, and then try to figure out what Angular can add to that. I don't know that it's going to add anything useful right now that Rails won't just do out of the box. Because we could get that explore page working and looking good, and creation pages working and looking good, and then it's just a matter of implementing user accounts.
Okay, well,
Whereas
I think the issue being that she wanted to.
Whereas the
I think that we
Angular binding is just gonna maybe make that look better, or maybe that function better and update a little more frequently and cleanly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we need to implement Cameron's design in the Rails app. This is the first step.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. If that makes sense, is the first step, and then step 2 would be then to bring in the Angular functionality.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what we want to get out of it, because Rails is going to give us all that updating stuff right in its normal form helpers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to bring it in. It feels like it's a good technology for the Explore page, and I know that he's already built all of it, so.
Yeah. All right. I'll see what comes of maybe Cameron and Matthew sitting down.
Okay.
Sorry about that. So just to clarify, then I should continue to work with Matthew.
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay.
Unless, if you have the HTML already coded up, I'd say push it to the GitHub, to the Learn repo.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Fantastic. So I will. Okay. Cool. Yeah, this I think probably all just underscores the fact that the four of us and hopefully Chad, if he's back, do need to sync up in real time sometime in the next week or so, just to make sure that everyone understands what and why and how these two sort of platforms that are kind of doing similar things are working together.
Yeah, Matthew's been doing his own thing on his separate repo. It'd be nice to kind of bring it all together. But it seems like what he's been doing with the Angular stuff is pretty cool. And seems like the right way to go for the Explorer.
Yeah. Sure, totally. Yeah, no, I have no doubt he's been doing good work. I just want to make sure that we understand it. That's all.
Definitely.
He is.
I'll try and set up a meeting with him offline and check in with you.
Okay.
Maybe Justin can join me hang out later.
Sweet.
Any thoughts on the next?
Oops, sorry, Tim, you're breaking up pretty bad.
Any thoughts on the next sprint?
Cool.
I think that next sprint, two things make sense. And that's implementing the design in some sense, and then some sort of search and filtering in the Rails app. So either, I mean, but I think both of those are doable, and make the most sense to do next.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. From inquiry's perspective, then, yeah. So we're getting the Explore page coded out. Chelsea's iterating per our conversation, Tim, on Friday, on sort of the bridge concept and expanding that out a little bit more, and also playing around with that grid concept to see what we can't get out of that. We will be sort of posting things up to the repo now as we have them for the next several days. Beyond that, getting the Explore page posted up somewhere and functioning so people can mess around with it in the browser. And then our next big thing is the organization, sort of the profile page, and what that would look like, both sort of natively within the website itself and then externally as well, if it were to be hosted via CNAME to something else.
Yeah, organization pages and the content pages themselves for actual opportunities.
Yeah, which will be, I believe, probably really pretty similar in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
Our goal is to make them as similar as possible.
I have some hangover things from last week, just to work on the data model for some of the user accounts and some of the stuff that might be needed there to make those dashboards work. I didn't do it because I was sick all week, but I hope to work on it today or tomorrow. And then hopefully, Justin, you can start doing some forward thinking work about those login accounts.
Sure. Yeah, I can add login accounts pretty easily. Something that I found in the past is a lot of the login, a lot of the materialization of login and stuff happens in the UX. So like I can just throw a thing on there and there will be login forms, but handling those like sessions and where someone's allowed to go is very UX-y.
Sure.
Otherwise, you don't see the immediate benefits. Because someone can just, go to a URL. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I'm sorry. I'm just babbling right now.
No, it makes sense. I mean, in terms of the organizer accounts, it should be fairly straightforward in that there will just be a small subset of organizer dashboard pages, that would be limited to organizers who are logged in, and then obviously the content would be populated with content based on their ID. And that would be it, really.
Okay. Yeah, I'll work on adding users. Yeah. I can do that this week, actually. That can fit in, too.
Okay. What other detail would you need, Justin, to feel confident going ahead on that? Is there anything else that we can provide?
No, I mean, like Tim said he was going to work on the data model, but I can add everything I need after the fact for that. Because, all the basics are always going to be the same for a person.
But actually, if you look at the existing data model, the doc that I put up for opportunities, it has within it a organizer object. And that object should be pretty much the full set of information we're going to want from organizers when they create accounts.
Okay. Oh, then that's already done.
The two main pieces of functionality that we're going to want out of those accounts to start out will be two forms, basically. The one form is a form to enable them to put in that organizer information, basically to fill out their account details, upload an image, and then the second would be an add opportunities form that will populate opportunities and instances into like a list and enable them to edit them.
Yeah, those all exist right now.
Yeah, so just be moving it to be based on account ID.
Okay.
So that logged in users can only edit their events and not the organizers' events.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's actually pretty. That's most of the way there already. It's just the way, just the nature of how it's built.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, once we have those organizer account pages up and running and working like pretty well and not too ugly, and the explore page is working, then I think we're ready to start inviting a couple real users to play around with it. Because we don't really need accounts for learners just yet. That's not super important until later on.
Yes, I agree with that. That sounds cool.
All right, cool. So I'll try and set up a meeting with Matthew. Justin is going to work on figuring out how to pull in the Angular stuff, and he's going to work on the organizer account stuff. Oh, Justin, obviously you can just set up generic username stuff with Rails, but obviously the end goal would be to have something a little bit more powerful and accessible, like some OpenAuth stuff to be able to log in with Twitter, Google, Facebook.
We can add that after the fact. I think we should hold that off until until we've gotten through a little with just normal users. It's easy to add after the fact.
I actually don't.
And we're going to want to have that probably pretty localized to the learner side of things too, right? Because otherwise, if somebody uses if an organization uses OAuth to log in, we're going to miss out on a whole bunch of information from them, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. Okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
So actually, that's not really true, because we can. The way those types of authentication work is basically tying an ID from another service to your account. So really, it's just an additional field on your user account, and you can have someone log in with Twitter and then just collect more information to finalize a new account.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be limited to users. I just don't think it's right to do right now.
Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, feel free, drive that process as you feel, as you see fit.
So we're this close on having the Explore page up and running, so we can actually look at how pretty it is. Is there any reason why we couldn't get that up today?
Yeah, it's a function of time. I'll be able to do it probably later in the day, towards this evening.
Okay. Let's do it.
Cool. And then, oh my God. Sorry. Cool. And then I'll sync up with Matthew via GitHub as best I can, and then if at least Tim, the three of us could sit in a room later in the week and get some stuff knocked out, that would be cool.
Sounds good.
All right.
Yeah, and Justin, feel free to dialogue with Matthew as well. I'll try and make sure the two of you connect, but let me know if you have any questions on how and when to get the Angular stuff in there.
Absolutely.
All right. Enjoy Coachella.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, dude. See you.
Bye.